From the earliest days that I could remember, my mind was constantly capturing the frame. The broad expanse of sky and the mountains of Vermont that I grew up on. Watching the animals, becoming part of nature. But what I really wanted to do was make films. So off to the big city I went. To study motion picture, television, business. The streets of New York became my greatest coach, and my friends, my family, my best teachers. I got very good at what I wanted to do very fast. If you took a snapshot of my life, it looked perfect. I had a lot of fun. I won awards on MTV. I directed music videos for Grammy-winning artists. I made my first independent feature film. I ran my own production company and was fully immersed in being a filmmaker. I had a big home in Manhattan, drove around town in fancy cars. I had supermodel girlfriends to go with my supersized ego. I got into all the best parties and hung out with the coolest people. But I wasn't satisfied. There was something missing. So I went to Hollywood, took it to the next level. Big movies, big stars. Don't get me wrong, it was a very good time, and I really believed this would be the thing that finally made me happy. But it didn't. No matter how big I did it or how hard I tried, something profound was still missing from my life, and I didn't know what it was. Then I began to wonder if filmmaking was my gift. Maybe I didn't have any real gift.
We incarnate on planet Earth, not to receive anything from the world whatsoever, but we incarnate to release the gifts, the talents, the capacities, and the powers that are within us. People have a tendency to think that the world owes them something or that people owe them something. But in reality, as we evolve, as we become more conscious, we discover that this life force or this life presence is seeking to become conscious of itself as us, according to our unique pattern. That unique pattern is our gift, is the way we get to express the life, the love, the beauty, the joy, the intelligence, the order of the universe, as only we can do it. So everyone being a unique emanation of this presence, everyone being a singular manifestation of a cosmic destiny, has not only one gift, but many ways by which to release this life energy.
You know, life itself is a gift, and it comes with a beautiful wrapping paper. And often, we don't uncover the wrapping. We are just caught up with the beautiful colored, glittery wrapping paper. We never go into the depth of what life is. So we need to unwrap the gift that life has offered to us and discover really what is inside of us.
It is our unique way of expressing love, our unique way of revealing creativity, our unique way of downloading wisdom and beauty and all of the transcendent qualities that are everywhere present. Some are more specific. Some have a proclivity towards doing that musically. Some can do it vocally. Some do it through architecture, through healing. But ultimately, as an individual releases their gift, they're actually releasing the next stage of their own evolution and activating that same vibration and frequency in others as well. It's why we're here.
Well, everybody does have a gift to give, and the gift is the essence of who they are. The sun has to shine. It's the nature of the sun to do that. It doesn't withhold its shining, and it doesn't shine to get feedback. It just does it because that's its nature. And it's our nature to love. It's our nature to express ourselves. It's our nature to give. If we are from that which is all, then we contain all within us, and we have some unique aspect of that allness that we are. Just like nature contains flowers of many different varieties, we're all different varieties of this God consciousness that's manifest in physical form. Knowing that we come from that and that we're returning to that, we can't be anything less than that. I mean, we are literally expressions of God.
You know, a lot of times in life, it's like you're lifted to the top of the mountain for a moment just to show you what's there. And then you have to go back to the bottom of the mountain and you have to climb. If you take away the humanity of the journey, you take away part of what is to me most beautiful.
And in my own journey, I was missing something, the presence of which would make a profound difference in my life. I was not present to my own presence.
And I had no idea that the fact that I had no relationship with the closest living woman, blood relative on the planet to me, was what was affecting me so profoundly. And then I realized I was the source of the fighting in my family.
So I got a phone call from my brother, unexpectedly, because we hadn't spoken to each other for quite a few years. I don't even remember exactly how long it was. It just felt like forever, because we didn't like each other at that time, and our relationship was toxic for each other.
I was in an emotional war with my sister. We had not spoken in years. We hadn't really communicated since our mother had died. And if you put us in a room together, there was going to be an all-out verbal and at some point physical fight.
And I got the phone call, surprisingly, because truthfully, I, at that point, wasn't going to communicate with him anymore.
I finally was able to let go of all the issues that I had and call my sister.
He called, and I said, "Dad okay? Is Tata okay?" And at that point, that's who we had left in our life, my brother and I.
She hadn't heard me cry since our mother died, so the first thing she said was, "Who died?" I said, "Nobody's dead. Dad's not dead. No. Grandpa, no."
"But I want to talk to you." And I said, "Well, I don't really want to talk to you at all." And he said, "I really want to talk to you. It's important. I need to ask your forgiveness."
I said, "Something died." I said, "What has died is the anger within my own soul towards you," which was really anger towards myself for having abandoned you as your bigger brother.
And that just stunned me, and I didn't even know what to do with that, because it was the last thing I was ever expecting, ever, was for my brother to call me and say, "Can you ever forgive me?" All I ever wanted was to say yes. So, of course, immediately I said yes, and what's going on? And "I love you, Damien." And he said, "I love you too, and I'm really, really sorry for everything."
And I told her in that moment, I said, "From today forth, I will never, ever, ever raise my voice to you again. From now and until the day I die, when you want to know what that bright light on your shoulder is, it's your brother, baby, and I got your back."
And that was like the happiest day of my life that I'd experienced that day, because my life had just been going away. Everything that I thought was solid and real in life kept leaving. And so I said yes, and we cried on the phone together for a long time, and I'll never forget it.
And the power of that moment, the vibrational shift in energy between my sister, Cheyenne Joy, and her brother, Damien, was so profound that that vibration permeated out into our entire family, and our entire family stopped fighting.
And I just wanted to be there with my brother and be in the forgiveness of with him and be together. And he said, let's be a family. I want to be connected. And I was like, yes, I want to be connected too. I've been waiting and I'm so excited. And that then began another life for me, which was a life of being connected to my family.
I realized that I had everything within my being that it took to eliminate anger in my world. And if I could do that there, then it was possible that I could expand that realm of consciousness to the next realm. And if I could take it from there and expand it to the world, what would be possible?
One of the basic factor to develop the mental disorder is mainly a lack of affection, lack of compassion in family or in parents or the society as a whole. So this shows we human beings is in need of compassion.
We've all heard, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open. This is a law. The universe is always seeking to wake us up. It's always broadcasting what's within us, the powers that are within us, the gifts that are within us. If we ask the question, we've now become receptive.
Why do I want to be a filmmaker? Why do I want to travel the world and create stories about the human existence? And I answered that question because I ultimately believe that it is possible to reach the entire planet through the process of being a filmmaker.
And now realizing that I do have an extraordinary gift, I want to share it. I want to make a difference.
If an individual really wants to discover their gift, they have to ask, what is trying to express through me? What gift is trying to emerge? What power is trying to become conscious of itself as me? Many people aren't asking that question. They're just asking, how can I avoid pain? How can I get more stuff? How can I fit in to the society in which I'm living? How can I become successful? And perhaps their model of success is something that's been handed down to them by a high-tech, low-touch, consumer-driven society. But when you ask, how can I become more myself? How can I share my gifts? How can I activate my potential? Now you begin to activate the spiritual faculties within you that allow you to hear the inaudible and to ultimately see the invisible. Because you're pulling yourself out of the world. You're pulling yourself into an interior awareness of a broadcast that's always being given. We're guided not by the world, but we're guided by our heart. We're guided by our soul's desire to unfold.
I remember growing up feeling like I didn't belong on this planet, like I was an anomaly. And I remember feeling just so alone and so disconnected and so sad. And then that escalated to a point of feeling angry, like something had to shift, something had to change. And from that space is where I began to search. I had like this inner knowing that I was destined for more than what was showing up in my life. I just hadn't trusted it before. So I started tuning into that and asking questions, deep questions. Who am I? Like, who am I really? And what's my purpose here? And then I noticed that when I asked disempowering questions, like, why is this happening to me? I would experience pain. But when I asked those higher vibrational questions, like, what am I grateful for? You know, who do I love? How can I serve? Amazing opportunities would come and amazing gifts would be revealed. So it was from that receptive place that began with a question. The quality of our lives is directly proportionate to the quality of the questions that we ask. We create as we speak.
The closer I am onto the frequency of what I'm supposed to be doing, the more perfect life is, the more synchronistic things happen, the more love and laughter I experience, and the more fun I have.
Harmonious, happier, and peaceful is a community. That's our goal. So in order to achieve that, I think the first very important to realize every individual human being have a responsibility to humanity.
The only way that the highest good can manifest through our life experience is when we are delving into this radio station that this gift resides in.
What most of us do, unfortunately, because of the way we're educated by our parents and by school and by the military, is we lose touch with that essence. And then you end up at the top of the ladder, 50 years later, only discover you have the ladder leaning against the wrong wall. You've wasted your life. Not to discover your gift is to die with the music inside of you.
If we don't give the gift, we're killing ourselves. We are atrophying our heart and our soul and living life on a survival level, which has a tremendous amount of anxiety, fear. Fear-based living leads to terrible decisions, destruction, hurt, anger. Long-lasting happiness can only come when we're sharing our gift.
And if you're holding that gift back, then what you're asking is you're asking the world, the other people in it, to hold their gifts back from you. So you don't get to participate in this magnificent life that we all have. You're holding back. The more you give your gift, the more that you participate and make a difference in the world, the more the world will make a difference for you.
So, very practically, we have to wake up every single day asking, what's trying to emerge in me today? What gift is trying to activate itself in me today? What power is trying to become itself in me today? If the question is sincere enough and the love is real enough, the universe will reveal its secrets to us.
When you start off on your path, one of the very first things you notice is that the biggest obstacle you have is you. For me, I definitely had a flash of transformation. I had the big breakthrough moment with my sister. I popped into a new world. Suddenly I felt alive. I felt connected to everything. I could see, touch, smell, hear things I could never perceive before. I marveled at the wonders of life and suddenly thought I knew something about nature and God and the divine spirit. And then I experienced the unveiling of a system of harmonious principles, 8 distinct universal spiritual laws, all working together in a unified field of consciousness. They were coming in fast. Receptivity, intention, interaction, feedback, vibration, gratitude, compassion, and unity. And for a brief moment, I glimpsed infinity, and it all became clear. And in this space, every bad habit and overblown piece of my ego came rushing back in to fill the void of the new space I had just created. It was like I was back to square one, or worse, because now I knew that unified field existed. If I wanted this transformation to last, I was going to have to earn it. I was going to have to work for it. I was going to have to go after it like my life depended on it. And to me, it did. My friend Chet Holmes introduced me to Michael and Sidney Cressy, 2 incredible people who would change my life forever. They were hosting a symposium on consciousness, attended by authors, motivational speakers, and transformational leaders from around the world. They had come together to embark on an epic journey into the frontier of what is possible in personal growth and how each of us can make a difference in our own lives and on the planet. They shared from their hearts a lifetime worth of knowledge. I knew I was ready. I was ready for something, but I was totally unprepared for the adventure that was about to begin.
The human mind really creates everything that happens to you. It looks like it's being created by something out there, but it isn't. It's being created inside your head. What you pay attention to, what you decide to pay attention to, has a huge effect on what happens to you and what you create in your life. You're creating your own reality by deciding what to pay attention to, for instance. What most people don't get is that that is a choice.
We live in a universe of infinite possibilities that responds to the power of our thoughts. Our neurology, like our nervous system and our brain, can't take in infinite possibilities. It's like way too much information. It would be like trying to download the whole internet. So what we do and how our mind works is that it sorts through infinite possibilities and it picks up just a tiny little bit. So it sorts and sifts, and in that process it deletes some things and makes generalizations, and that tiny little bit that we pick up is what harmonizes with our deepest beliefs and our values and our programming.
There have been many conversations in the recent years about what you focus on, you attract, and what happens in your life is because of what you think about, and that is absolutely true. What happens after we think about something is a certain energy is created, and it is created not only in our body, but in our personal space, in our reality, and a certain reality then unfolds because of thoughts and beliefs that we hold in place.
What you think about comes about, right? What is your main dominant thought form? That tells you who you're going to become. If you want to know who you're going to be 5 years from now or 5 minutes from now, tell me what your dominant thought form is, and I'll tell you where you're moving or how you're staying stagnant.
Most people are not directing their mind in an intentional way. It's running on autopilot. So the person whose life is not working is unconsciously and unintentionally thinking in a certain way. And that thinking then directly leads to a certain result in life. And because they don't see the connection, they continue to do it.
People sabotage themselves a lot with negative thinking. When people are feeling angry or depressed, it's usually because they're thinking about something in the past, something that they have no control over. And when you are in the present, that's where you do have control over your thoughts, your actions, how you're feeling, and to get that there's that shift inside. Because when you're feeling negative, you're doing that to yourself. It's a thought that comes down and creates that feeling.
We get in our own way because we hold past memories, we hold on to regrets. We had people that tell us, you're never going to make it. Whatever it is, we've all had experiences. So what we need to do to be happy is let those go. Let the past go. Release what's stopping us from our own happiness.
A lot of people live their entire lives at the effect of everything around them. They don't see their life as something that they can make happen. They see their life as something that happens to them.
Anytime you catch yourself blaming, justifying your actions, making someone else wrong, or trying to be right, or defending, these are examples that illuminate that you're in effect, and you can't discover your gifts when you're on the effect side of the equation because you're not really present to your power.
I wanted to be accomplished and I wanted to be successful, even though I had a little secret, which was that I really wanted to be a mother and I really wanted to get married and I really wanted to have a family. But I thought I couldn't have that life in my career too. I thought that I was gonna have to choose one or the other. I was conflicted and I felt paralyzed.
In the Webster's dictionary, it says consciousness means to be aware of what we are doing and why. And if you're not aware, you can't make choices. If you're not aware of what you're doing in the moment and the impact that's having, you don't have choices. If you're not aware that you say something, you contract. You don't have a choice to do it differently. If you don't notice that you did that and it fills you up, you don't have a choice to keep doing it. It was just an accident. So you can't get better at it. You can't make it a practice. You have to be aware it's a choice, or you can't make the choice.
And then I remembered every moment is a gift. And that's why it's called the present. As soon as I realized that, I saw that everything that I wanted was right in front of me. So I gave myself permission to choose both.
When people develop the awareness to look inside the mind and notice that when I believe this, certain things happen. I feel a certain way, I behave a certain way, I attract certain people and situations into my life. Once people get clear on that and exercise choice at each of these junctures, the world starts to unfold for you.
You know, the very interesting thing about our mind is when our mind is calm and collective and it's focused, it gains enormous energy, enormous power of manifesting its own intentions. You know, human nature is such, you can't but look for something. The quest is very natural to a developed mind, a human mind. We want to know things, we want to know how things are. So to know what is this is science, and know who am I is spirituality. And they're so complementary.
The ultimate creator is human mind or consciousness. Due to our mind, it immediately creates some atmosphere, a pleasant atmosphere or unpleasant atmosphere. Then this energy, it creates a chain reaction on two levels. One immediate effect, one long-term effect. So you see, in order to change the external thing, first must change within ourselves.
In order to change reactive thought to proactive thought, you first have to become aware of your thoughts. Because if you watch your thoughts for long, you start to notice all day long these thoughts are just coming. And you realize you're watching them. They're not you. They're just a part of you is creating them, called your mind and your ego. And as you begin to see the fear and the doubt and the judgments and just watch it neutrally, it almost becomes comical. And then you realize you're not your thoughts, you can observe your thoughts. And once you get to that place, I have a mind, but I'm not my mind. I have an intellect, but I'm not my intellect. I'm this pure center of awareness and choice. Now I see I can choose the thoughts that will take me where I want to go. I can choose the thoughts that will support my dreams, that will uplift me and my family and humanity. Then you become intentional with your thoughts.
If you have a dominant thought form that's dysfunctional, all you got to do is think a little bit better thought, then a little bit better thought, then a little bit better thought, and you start to change. It's a very small, slight change, but little changes are big changes.
You can do something that's not resourceful over and over as long as you do it unconsciously. But if you do it with awareness, really watching, knowing where it's going, if it's not resourceful, you cannot keep doing it.
You have to spend some time to release the conditioning that you've been given. It's not an overnight process. Research shows it takes 30 days of uninterrupted discipline to get a new habit into your life. That could be a new habit of thinking, a new habit of behavior like flossing your teeth. It could be a new paradigm you believe in. And so if you hold this new thought, if you do this new exercise, whatever it might be, to reclaim the essence of who you are and release all the negative blocks that you've taken on over the years, then you naturally step into who you are. You naturally express your gift. This is not hard, it's easy.
A veil had been lifted. I could see that I had never truly chosen my life. I had been living out of alignment with the spiritual laws of the universe. Just behind the surface of physical reality, the laws are always flowing, always creating, always interacting. I had to learn to focus my intention to connect with them. I started to realize that who I am is an emerging possibility. There was an entire new direction that my life was taking, and I was just beginning to sense it. In the darkness of night, one candle can be seen from miles away. It was time for me to light my own candle. I myself have been on a consistent journey to uncover who I am, to get in touch with who I'm being. I think I've walked the planet for a long time as a very arrogant and self-centered and righteous ass. And now that I know that, I'm experiencing a little bit of freedom around it. So that has definitely been the first step. And the next step is to actively seek out people and places and, masters of being, if you will, that can coach me into a higher level of understanding and consciousness, to be more present to the gifts that are available in every moment, every waking hour, and to breathe more. I've been breathing a lot more. Breathe.
When you want to discover the gift that nature has given to you, first thing is we must stop blaming ourselves. Self-blame is the biggest obstruction for one to recognize one's gift.
It'll stop you every time from being able to live the life that you were meant to live, because it's thoughts like, who do I think I am? I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm not the right color. When you let those things drive your life, they do.
There's a reason why some people can't figure out what they want. And it's because when they were growing up, their parents never let them decide on what they wanted. Every time they were about to decide on something they wanted, their parents would jump in and say, no, you don't want that, you want this. Or you can't have that, but you can have this. And they never allowed the child to experiment on small things with wanting things, seeing what happens when you get them, and perhaps experimenting with different ways of getting them. And so when they grow up, they have no confidence. They don't trust their own wanter, you might say, because they've never used it, because every time they decided to want something, somebody told them it was wrong, or they couldn't have it, or there was some reason, no, you don't want to do it that way.
Some people never get into that passionate experience and know that that's it for them. Because we find a lot of people take on a life that's not their own, at which they can never succeed. And what we mean by that is they take on the life that their parents planned for them, or they rebel against the life their parents planned for them, depending on their persuasion. But either way, it's not their life, or they took on a life that the church decreed for them, or the politic decreed for them. They've never really got in touch with their own experience.
We all have very different abilities. We have very different talents. We have very different gifts. And most school systems are designed to ignore them. But the problem is, with the education system, is that it's a system. And it's a system that's based on the principles of manufacturing and industrialism. The idea is if you keep with the program and you do everything that's required of you, you'll pop out the far end and you'll be qualified and you can carry on and lead a life, that will be profitable and secure. And none of that is true. And it's not true because human life is not linear. Human life is organic. And human life is not standardized and it's not conformist. It's diverse and extraordinarily rich and various. but for all kinds of reasons, not least of which is education, were socialized into thinking that certain types of ability are more important than all other sorts of ability. And it's why so many people think they don't have any, because they don't discover them.
A lot of us discount what we have to offer because we can't see how it's going to make us money, or it's not going to make us famous, or we're not going to get invited to be on Oprah, and so we feel like we're not making a difference. Making a difference is not about a project. It's the way you show up in the world every single day. You're already making a difference, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, just by your presence. Your vibrational presence is always making a difference. You made a difference today to everyone who saw you, felt you, or heard you. So the question then is, what kind of difference am I making? Don't measure it in terms of money. Don't measure it in terms of fame. Don't measure it in terms of even how many people you've affected. Shifting one person is sacred.
If people looked for their gift, they would find it. But the world has mesmerized each of us to some extent and degree. It has hypnotized us, if you will. The world says power is in status symbols. The power is in the position that you hold in the world. The power is in what kind of automobile you drive, what kind of neighborhood you live in. That's where the power is. The power is in the money. When the power is in you, and it's in me, it's always been there. But you'll never find it if your eyes are stuck on someone else's gift on the television. If your eyes are a gaze at someone else who's living their dream. What about you and your dream?
Choose in favor of your passion. Choose in favor of the things that have greatest meaning to you. Your passions are like breadcrumbs that lead you onto the path of your gift. And know that every moment is a choice. And you're either choosing closer to your gift or moving farther away from it in every single moment. So what do you want to choose?
The secret of life is finding out what you love to do, developing a deliberate practice to get really good at it. And that's the foundation that will lead you on a serendipitous journey to riches beyond your wildest imagination. One of these days, you'll find the thing to do.
What you love and are interested in is a clue to what your gift is. And what you love will evolve as you do. But what I know for each person is that there is, as unique as our thumbprint, that wondrous thing that is ours. And you will begin to find it by paying attention to what you love. And you'll notice also that when you're in your gift, you feel more alive, you feel more passionate, you feel as if I was born for this.
When you start to tap into who you really are, you don't have to make yourself be happy. You just get happy. You know, you feel trusting. You feel like that voice of the soul, as it starts to come through, is always perfect. It unveils your path for you. It brings you what you need. It connects you with everyone you need.
You know it's your gift when it's effortless. You know it's your gift when it's natural, when it feels beautiful and simple. And everybody already knows that. It's just a matter of remembering.
It's about finding your true spirit. And you know you've found it in a way because time changes for you. If you're doing something that doesn't resonate properly with you, 5 minutes can feel like an hour. But if you're doing the thing that really is part of your being, that is coming from you, then an hour can feel like 5 minutes.
As you activate your gift into the world, you get that momentum behind you. You never know what the light has in store for you. You never know what that maximum level looks like because there is no maximum level. It just keeps scaling up higher and higher and higher, and you just keep touching more and more people, and that momentum and that inspirational power keeps flowing through you, and then that drives you to go even deeper and deeper into your gift. And I believe that that is the source of genius.
At different times in your life, you may have different gifts to discover. Your gift when you're younger might be that you're going to be a mother and put all of your energy into being a mother. And the gift is of love, of nurturing. At some point, because we are individuals who are growing and changing and shifting all the time, whether we know it or not, that gift might not feel big enough for you anymore. You might have outgrown it. You might feel there's something else calling to you. This can be a moment of a lot of crisis for people because we feel, but this is what I chose to do. I wanted to be a full-time mom, or I wanted to be a lawyer, or I wanted to be an artist. Suddenly, it's not fulfilling me. There's nothing wrong with those moments. It means that you have shifted, you've morphed into something else, and that based on the foundation of all that you've learned and all you've become, something more is wanting to be born. These are times when we have to be really courageous, sometimes let go of things that we've defined ourselves by, and be willing to be rebirthed into someone and something new, and discover the new gift inside of you.
If you have not gotten that gift, if you're still looking and searching out there, you got to look into your life and go, what would I do no matter what? If the world blew up, what would I do anyway? If I lost my family, what would I do every day for free? What would I do without any remuneration? What would I do as a nonprofit charity? And if you ask yourself that question enough, and particularly if you meditate on that question long enough, I believe it's inevitable that you will find your gift.
I think the main thing you could do to discover your own gift is to look inside and say, what brings me the greatest joy? What has been the thing that when I do it, I'm happiest? And when you look at what brings you joy, it takes you back into the essence of who you are and what you're meant to do. You know, it's easy to listen to a rock and roll station. It's harder to hear your body, to hear your intuition, to hear God's voice, if you will, speaking through you. It's always called the still, small voice within.
Specific practices to find your gift. One would be practice more solitude. Many people are afraid to be alone with themselves, but it is in the silence of your own soul that your inner voice speaks, and you're able to hear and follow the voice as it directs you.
Solitude will take you places. Go into the woods. Go and bathe yourself in a stream. Listen to the birds singing. Go to the ocean waves and just hear the music. The world, the universe is talking to you.
Another specific thing that you can do is to practice loving yourself. Giving yourself permission to live your dreams. Give yourself permission to be well. Give yourself permission to be okay. Give yourself permission to be forgiven for past mistakes. Give yourself permission to start over. All of these are acts of love.
I'm in Rome, and I'm on the phone with my sister Cheyenne. Look.
So I get a call from my sister Cheyenne, and it was a pretty profound call because what she said was, when is the work you're doing in the world gonna match the man I know? When's that gonna happen? Because you're really good at blowing things up. And I know you have a lot of fun doing it. But it's not a match for who you've become. And, and it was a great question. And I really had to think about it, and she was right, because on one level, I was over here making the Hollywood movies and trying so hard to get something that was all about, the next biggest thing I could do. It wasn't about who I was being. And suddenly I had my answer. It was right in front of me. It had been there the entire time. So my purpose is clear, to share all these amazing people and the things that I've learned with the rest of the world.
I'm just one of many people that's experiencing this awakening, this rise in consciousness.
As we activate our potential, bliss, ecstasy, happiness, and joy is in the giving of the gift. Because my priority is sharing. My priority is giving. My priority is releasing life energy. My priority is radiating. So my priority isn't getting, because if I go to getting, now I resist the very thing that I want. So I'm on now a precipice of becoming more myself. I'm available to more good than I've ever imagined to come forward in my life. And I'm not under the illusion that I know what that good is. Now, transformation can occur. And we always know it's transformation because it surprises us. If it doesn't surprise you, it's not transformation.
When you start to use your gift to serve, magic happens in your life. It's greater than you could have imagined. It's like a soloist becoming part of a band. And you're part of a whole choir of angels that are also in the same vibration right now. The more you give, the more things come back to you, and then it becomes what you really desire is more opportunities to give. And if that's what you're wanting, that's what you're really wanting, is to serve and support, you find yourself in Iraq. You find yourself making music in an ancient culture. One of the most spiritual feelings I've ever felt is that connection between people I thought were my enemies and myself. Well, working in Iraq for the last 3 years, when we would start the drum circle, people often came from different parts of Iraq, different language groups and different religious groups. So there would be an initial resistance. And you could see the layers of resistance falling off people's shoulders. And pretty soon, over time, everyone came together and playing their own part. Not making my music or their music, but coming together and forming something new, a new song. And everyone was just playing off each other's energy. I think it's a great metaphor for a beautiful way to live. There is a duet that's being called out in our culture right now, in our world. To have the gift of traveling the world and interacting with people through music and sharing really our heart vibrations across the world, it gives me great hope for peace on the planet.
See, anything we do in our life, we do either expecting some sort of happiness or we do as an expression of joy. To shift from this position of expecting something to sharing what you can with the world, with the people around you, makes all the difference.
My name is Tatankamani. It means walking buffalo. My birth name is Andrew. I'm a sun dancer and a pipe carrier and a ceremonial leader and just a common man. People say that the gift I have is to help people learn about themselves. However, I did choose to live a life that enhances that so that it can be given back in an appropriate way, in a respectful way, and in a traditional way, in a way that only does good things. Because we can't only take in this world, we always have to give back.
True gifts are the ones that we receive and give back to the world in whatever way is necessary. It doesn't mean as much if we just hold on to it and keep it to ourselves. It's often hard and challenging to walk that line, to continually work on those gifts that each person is given. I think a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Why aren't people willing to do that?
Because it's hard.
It's that commitment to excellence that forces us to grow, and that commitment to not backing away when it's tough, that the real satisfaction, the deeper satisfaction comes from. And it's the giving of our gift where the fulfillment comes. You know, when you're out there serving and people are receiving it, and you've had to work hard to make that happen, and then it just blossoms in its fullness, I don't think it gets any better than that.
Here we are at Refugio Altiplano. I'm Scott Peterson. I've lived here for 12 years now. I run a shamanic healing center, an integrative medicine center where we heal people with natural means. People come to us from all over the world for healing purposes, for guidance, and also for learning. And a lot of the people these days are insulated from their own spiritual lives. They have very little free time, very little recreation. They have very little time to be alone. They're constantly under the influence of television, antidepressant drugs, of a very abrasive people around them on a regular and constant basis. And when they strip off these negative influences, they inevitably will take a certain transition period to come back into a state of homeostasis and calm. But from there, they can begin to grow in a very positive and real direction. If you want to create a positive environment that reflects your inner and higher self, what you have to do is you have to always give energy to the things you like and always take energy away from the things you don't like.
So when we're giving, we're coming from a premise of abundance, and that creates the space for even more abundance to flow into our lives. There's nothing that you give that you won't experience. It's like if you give someone a smile, you're smiling. You're feeling a smile. Or if you give them the gift of laughter, you're the one that's laughing. Or if you give the gift of love, you're feeling the love because it's flowing through you. And as it flows through you, it's like it comes back. It's in the giving that we receive.
It's especially important for all people, men and women, to acknowledge the warrior side of their being. Because when you don't acknowledge that side, it comes out in unhealthy ways.
Ingestation of pizza manifestation.
As much pizza as possible.
All right, let's go, pizza. You ready?
Ready.
Yeah, bang it up, go. Look at anybody famous or anyone who's achieved their goal. They weren't that when they were born. Your left side's dipping just a touch. Somewhere along the line, they conceived it, this vision of themselves, whether it was singing or dancing or playing football or whatever it is. Then they believed they could do it. And once you got that belief, and I think that's where people get stuck. They conceive, they have the conception of what they like, but they don't believe that they can achieve it. And that little block right there in between first and second gear stays inside for their whole entire lives. And if you were to talk to them when they were 80 or 90 or 100 years old and they're lying on their deathbed, they're not gonna say, I'm glad I stayed in this little shell and never bursted out. They're gonna wish. They're just gonna say, I should have done that. Why didn't I do that? I could have done it. In fact, the word inspire literally means to breathe in spirit, because you can do this for an hour in the morning or an hour at night and carry that spirit with you for a very, very long time. And I think that a person who is truly in spirit through inspiration can accomplish anything they want and can easily manifest anything that they're trying to manifest.
Discovering your gift is one thing. Living it, that is something else. It requires as much focus and dedication as anything I've ever done. It is a challenge to every fiber of my being to be in service to what I am becoming. The more I studied and meditated on sharing my gifts, the more I realized the universal spiritual laws I had experienced were continuing to unfold within my being. And once again, I awakened to this unified field of